Hi, this is Mark from eReplacementParts.com. In today's video, we're going to show you how to replace two different styles of primer bulbs on a couple of two-cycle engines. We'll show you how to do that now. The first primer bulb we'll replace is on a Untitled trimmer. To start, I'm going to remove the air cleaner cover, remove the air filter, and that'll give us access to these two screws that hold the carburetor to the motor. I'll remove those now. When I pull these two screws out, that'll also allow me to remove the choke plate. And there's my carburetor with the primer bulb on the bottom. There's these four screws that hold this plate, which actually basically clamps the primer bulb to the carburetor. I'll remove those four screws now. There will be a little bit of gas that'll drain out of the carburetor once I remove this plate, so keep that in mind. And the last screw here, with this one, this is where we'll get the little bit of gas draining out. There it is. The primer bulb is just pressed onto this metal plate, so I can just push this right out, just like that. I'm going to grab a rag. I want to make sure I don't get any dirt inside the carburetor as I do this. So clean that up. Here's my new primer bulb. I just simply press that back into place. And now we can remount this plate to the bottom of the carburetor. Okay, we'll remount the plate. I need to take this lower piece of the carburetor that's separated when we took the bulb out and reattach that to the bottom of the carb, just like that. Now this piece goes on, just like that. And the plate with our bulb goes back in place next, that way. And now we can replace the four screws. Okay, now we've got a new bulb. We'll go ahead and mount the carburetor back onto the motor itself. We've got this flange that goes in first. And then our choke plate, I'll thread that through. So we've got screws coming out the back side of the carburetor. And now just mount this right back onto the engine. Tighten it up with my Allen screws. Now just replace my air filter and the filter cover, and my Untitled trimmer will be ready to go with its new primer bulb. Now we're going to show you how to replace a remote primer on a McCulloch trimmer. I call it a remote primer because it's not attached right to the carburetor like the first example was. This one, it's mounted to the bottom of the air cleaner box. I have a pair of hemostats I picked up at a dollar store, and these work great for clamping off fuel lines. So I'm just going to clamp off the return line so I don't get any fuel overflow when I remove that. Now with a small screwdriver, I'm going to pull the fuel lines off the back of the primer assembly. Just like that. Now the primer bulb is held in place by a couple of small tabs. I find the easiest way to remove it is to just use a pair of needle nose pliers and kind of press the tabs in. Sometimes you can get both, sometimes you have to do it kind of one at a time. And when you press those tabs, the primer will now come out the front just like that. So there's my old primer removed. We'll set that aside. Now I'm going to replace the new primer back onto the housing. Tip it on its side, I'll make it a little easier here. I just insert those tabs back into the housing. I'm going to use a little screwdriver to help me get the tab into the housing. Just like that. Snap it into place. Now we can replace those fuel lines back into the same locations we removed them from. Again, a pair of needle nose pliers help to get this started. Slide the first one on. And the second. remove my hemostats, and this trimmer is ready to go. I hope our video has helped you do yourself what would be a costly repair at a repair shop.